Ah, I have a big frog in my throat. Oh no. More tea. Let's just calm down. Have some tea. And I shall add a square in here as well. Does this look ridiculous? Hello everybody. Hi and welcome to Inside number 23, my podcast about knitting, sewing and my crafty life in general. My name is Katie. You can find me on Instagram as misslavellia and you can find me on Ravelry as misslavellia. And we also have a Ravelry group for Inside number 23. So do come by and check us out, join and have a little chat. I post all of my show notes on Ravelry, but I also add them in the down bar just below on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. So yeah, hi everybody and welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and huge big hello to any new viewers. I hope you enjoy spending a little bit of your time with me, and what a week I have for you this week. It's been super busy on my end this week. I have been busy at work, I've been busy at play, I guess. I've been getting a lot of knitting done. I've also been spending some lovely time with my husband Emrys, so he wanted a shout out this week. He was getting a little bit jealous, so hi baby, I love you and I will see you later. I had, like I said, a pretty busy week. I also yesterday went to Unravel in Farnham, which was fantastic. I went with my lovely mum. We had a fantastic time and I shall be talking a little bit more about that later in the episode. I did acquire some new little bits and pieces. I was quite naughty. Yeah, I broke the bank a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. This week I am drinking a lovely cup of tea out of my new mug, and I posted a picture of this mug on Instagram and you guys were going a bit mental for it. So let me just show you. How cute is this? It says do your best, and on the inside, I'll just tilt it slightly, it is purple with white polka dots. I am drinking some of my East India Tea Company tea today. It's green tea with jasmine, which is one of my favourite things, to be honest. Green tea is definitely my favourite of the teas. So I did want to quickly take a moment to say hello to a couple, well, more than a couple of fellow podcasters who've mentioned me over the last week and given me a little shout out. I've had mentions on Fluffy Fibres podcast, Tiny Paper Foxes, the Knitting Expat podcast, Curious Handmade audio podcast, which is fabulous, the Reluctant Sisters podcast, Pin Feathers and Pearls, and also this morning I was watching the Little Yellow Uke podcast on YouTube, and I got a mention on that as well. I have said previously how I've been quite overwhelmed at how much love and support I have gotten from the knitting community and fellow podcasters since starting my own podcast, and it really just astounds me every day how much support and love there is in this community. There's no sense of jealousy or trying to succeed on the backs of other people and not, you know, looking after the people around you. It's like within this community, we've realised that there isn't a finite amount of success, and that means we're super happy to share that love around. And coming from a theatrical background, working in theatre for as long as I did, that's really not the attitude in that industry. It can be very cutthroat. So yeah, it's been fantastic. So I love you all. So first things first, Inside number 23, we are having our first ever knit along. Yay! Knit along, and as you may know, it is Harry Potter themed. We are having a Harry Potter knit along that is going to be kicking off on the 1st of March. That is our cast on date, and it is running through out March and also throughout April. The only guidelines are that you need to knit something Harry Potter themed. So it could be using Harry Potter yarn, a Harry Potter pattern of some kind. You could be making a replica of something from the film. Anything that has a Harry Potter twist. Describe to me why it's got a Harry Potter twist, and that'll be absolutely amazing. We already have a chatter thread open in the Ravelry group, and it has been amazing this past week. The amount of people who have been talking about what projects that they want to start, have been sharing their yarn choices. I am so excited, I can't even tell you. I will have a little video coming up later in this podcast which is going to be themed around the Harry Potter KAL, so for now let's not talk about it, but yeah, keep your eyes peeled for a little bit later on. So yeah, what have I been up to this week in terms of my crafting? Let's start with what's on my needles, shall we? So FOs this week, finished objects. I got nothing, guys. I have been doing a lot of knitting, but as yet the projects that I've been working on have not come to completion, which is, yeah, a little bit sad, I guess, but I'm pretty happy with the amount of work that I've put into some other projects. So let's get started with works in progress. So the first work in progress that I want to show you is being housed in a very, very special bag. I made a purchase from the lovely, lovely Shawna of Adelaide Cottage. She has a podcast and a shop of the same name, Adelaide Cottage, sorry. And not on her most recent podcast, but the one previous to it, she was showing these drawstring reversible bags. And I saw one of them and my heart just skipped a beat because I love anything woodland themed, anything with foxes, with bunnies, with hedgehogs, with squirrels. I'm obsessed with that kind of thing. So when I saw this, I couldn't resist it. This is my lovely, lovely project bag from Adelaide Cottage. Look at these. Oh, it's just adorable. If you can see, there's a little fox on the bottom. And guys, the size of this bag, it's humongous. I am using this to house my Weasley jumper. Yay, Weasley jumper, Harry Potter. And I can fit in here the back of the sweater that I've already completed, the front of the sweater that I'm working on, all my cakes of yarn. So this is Aran weight yarn as well, so it's bulky. So I've got lots of cakes of yarn that I'm using. I have my pattern in here that I'm working on, and I have like a couple of notebooks and pens in case I want to jot down anything that I'm adapting from the pattern. And there's still so much space, like it's not even half full. Also, I'm not gonna flip it inside out for you because it's, like I said, it has got a lot of stuff in it, but it's completely reversible. And the print on the inside actually is little Bambis, like Disney Bambi. But the inside, as you can see, is kind of this beautiful floral pink and white. And down at the bottom is where we have that more kind of taupey Bambi print. Thank you so much, Shawna. I would buy 100 of these from you in all different sizes, and I love it. It's beautiful. I was having a little chat with Shawna, and she has told me that at the moment her shop is a little bit sparse, but she's going to be having lots of bags coming in within around about the next week or so, I believe. So if you do pop over to her shop, I'll obviously include links in my show notes. There may not be a huge amount in there right now, but rest assured there will be very soon, so do keep checking back. And yeah, get yourself one of these. But let's stop talking about the bag, shall we, and focus on what's actually inside the bag. So as you may recall from last week's podcast, I am currently working on the front part of the sweater, and I had done pretty much the bottom good couple of inches of just stocking stitch. But look what's happened since then. Oh my goodness, I have started doing the initial and look at it. Isn't it great? I'm so happy with how it's coming out, and this is intarsia, guys. I was freaking out about doing the intarsia and it's just been dreamy. But let me just show you the back so you can see the intarsia. Check it out, guys. So these are my little twists, because with intarsia, unlike say Fair Isle or stranded colour work, you don't have floats behind your work, but whenever you change a colour you twist the yarn. But how cool is this, you guys? And it looks so much like kind of Harry and Ron sweater from the film. I couldn't be happier with it. I really, really want to focus on this week and at least get the front section finished, if not get started on the sleeves. So talking about more Harry Potter themed knitting, last week I had an almost hoe. This week I have a whole hoe. Whoop whoop. Whole hoe. By the way, hoe is a half finished object in case you think that I've gone mental. My whole hoe is my Hermione's everyday sock, which I absolutely love. It's so gorgeous. This is Regia 4-ply, kind of variegated colourway. And yeah, isn't it awesome? Of course, I have named these my Carebears Share Parma Violet socks, in case you haven't seen them previously. But yes, one completed sock. And I'm very happy to say that there is no second sock syndrome going on here, because I have already started my second sock. Yay! So I've completed the rib. So it's my 1x1 twisted rib, which I absolutely adore. And it's funny because I know at least 2 other people in the podcast world who have cast on a pair of socks with the 1x1 twisted rib, because I keep going on and on about it. So I'm spreading the love for this cuff, guys. 20 rounds of a 1x1 twisted rib, you cannot beat it. As always, I'm using 2.25 needles. These are my Knit Pro Zings, which are such a pretty colour. I love them. And yeah, happily working away on these. I'm hoping that I may be able to get these finished this week, depending on how much time I get to kind of knit on them. So the next project that is currently on my needles is my Cozy Memories blanket. Now, thank you guys for all the love that you've been kind of sending my way about this blanket. I love it too. I'm so happy with it, and knitting on it is such a joy. So let me show you how much I've kind of done this week. Last week I had completed my first big square, which is this. This week, whoops, I have added 3 little squares on here. The 3 squares that I have added, first one is this one. This is the Hedwig colourway from the mini skeins, the Harry Potter mini skeins that I purchased from Nora George. I added on this square. This, in case you haven't noticed, is the same yarn as my Hermione's everyday socks, but I knew I was going to have heaps of yarn left over. So I went ahead and knitted a little square of that in, and I just love the colours. I think it's beautiful. And my most recently completed square is this one, all these different tones of grey, and this is the Dumbledore colourway from the same set of mini skeins that I got from Nora George. I have actually had quite a few questions this week on my Ask Me Anything post on the Ravelry group. Join the Ravelry group, guys. Come join the conversation. It's awesome. There's some really cool people on there. Specifically about my Cozy Memories blanket. I've had 2 lovely ladies, Everything Fibre and Burmy Knit, who both asked me questions directly about my Cozy Memories blanket. So hi ladies, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your questions. Both of you kind of asked specifically about how I'm knitting my blanket and that type of thing, because you may have noticed my squares are slightly different from a lot of other podcasters and what they're doing. I think the main difference straight away is that I do a decrease that is not necessarily one that you would see on a lot of other people's podcasts. I first saw this decrease on Danny's podcast, the Little Bobbins Knits podcast, and recently I also saw it on TV Knitting as well. Basically, your square gets this lovely ridge down the centre. It's a lot more pronounced than a lot of people's Cozy Memories blankets. And the way that you do this is you have an odd number of stitches on the needles and you do a central decrease on the right side, which basically means that you knit to 1 stitch before that centre stitch. You slip the stitch before the centre stitch and the centre stitch, slip them together knitwise, knit the next stitch and pass those stitches over. I'm sorry if that's not very clear. there's not really a way that I can describe it more clearly than that. What I'll do is I'll try and find a video of the centre decrease, I think that's what it's called, and pop it down below. So you get this lovely kind of raised ridge when you're doing your decreases. And then on the wrong side, when you get to that centre decrease, you purl the stitch. So that's how I do my decreases. I also use 2.5mm needles, and I knit mine with 51 stitches, which is a little larger, I think, than a lot of people, but I just find that it uses a nice amount of the yarn. But these squares so far, I have noticed that they take maybe 5 to 6 grams of yarn, so not a huge amount. It really is so easy to get a little bit of scrap yarn into this blanket because of that. So yeah, I'm finding that with the mini skeins that I purchased from Nora George, I'm probably not even using half of the little mini skein, which is great because then I can, you know, spread the love and share those mini skeins with other people who may also want them. Something that Burmy Knit asked specifically as well, which is kind of a compliment in her question, which is really, really lovely. She said, how did I get these first 4 squares so even? I'm not really 100% sure exactly how I got them as even. It was a bit of a surprise to me as well, that they were as kind of perfect as they are. The other thing that I have been doing when I'm knitting on my little squares is that the first stitch of every row I just slip, and the last stitch I knit into the back of the stitch, and I do that whether we're on the right side or the wrong side. And that means that when I'm picking up the stitches along the edge, I have a super, super clear place to pick up. Now, I don't know whether you can see this. I think that's pretty clear. Can you see how distinct all of these stitches are along the edges of my squares? And that's literally created by, like I said, slipping the first stitch of every row and then knitting into the back of the last stitch. And that's something that I read on a forum about Cozy Memories blankets and different tips and tricks, and I found that invaluable in terms of being able to pick up all of these stitches really, really easily, which in turn means that your squares come out really, really even. Saying all that, you may notice that this square here, my Hedwig, is a little smaller. Something that I noticed when I started knitting with the Nora George yarn that I had is that it's a little bit finer than some of the other yarns that I'd used previously, which meant that when I was using the same kind of tension as for these squares, this one came up slightly smaller, which you can kind of see here. It's moving upwards a little bit. So when I got to this square with the Dumbledore colourway, I just kind of loosened my tension a little bit, and I've ended up with a square which is pretty much exactly the size that I wanted. So my last work in progress for what's on my needles is a little bit of a naughty one. You may recall from last week I cast on a pair of socks for Emrys on Valentine's Day, which were the blueberry waffle pattern. And I was knitting on those, and I've been knitting on my Hermione's everyday socks. And to be honest, I was getting a little bit annoyed because I was knitting, I realised, on 2 sets of textured socks, and it just wasn't cutting it for me during this time. And this may make you think I'm a little bit odd, but maybe you've been in a similar position before. I don't know. For about a week, I was having a recurring dream of going into my sewing room, which is just next door, going into my sewing room, looking at my yarn stash, picking out a particular skein of yarn, and it was always the same one, and knitting a pair of socks with it. And I kid you not, this was a dream that I had every single night, and it became so vivid that I felt like I had actually started this sock project. And I just thought, this is something that my subconscious is telling me that I need to do. I need to cast on these socks. So who am I to argue with my subconscious? I cast on another pair of socks. So this week, Emrys's socks, poor emeris have gone by the wayside. They are languishing a little. I will finish them, but I cast on a different pair of socks. So this is a yarn that I know everyone is going to recognise straight away, which is Arne and Carlos. I was given a whole load of Arne and Carlos yarn for Christmas by my lovely mum, and this is the Summer Nights colourway, and it's been so unbelievably popular, and I can tell why. It's dreamy to knit, so much so that when I started these, by the way, this work is 2 evenings worth of knitting. How insane is that? I don't usually knit that quickly on a sock, but I got so carried away with the colour repeats, because this colour repeat goes from here to here. That long is a colour repeat. That's just ridiculous. I got so carried away that I actually knit the body of these socks about an inch longer than I would usually knit socks, which is really, really funny. But vanilla socks are just such great fun to knit on. So mindless and so kind of calming and therapeutic. I have also added in a heel flap. I didn't want to put the Fish Lips Kiss heel into these. I felt like doing a proper grown-up heel for myself. So I just popped in the heel from the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern, which is kind of a modified Eye of Partridge heel, which I'm really happy with. So I'm going to start turning the heel pretty soon, and then I'll have a lovely sock. On the top, the white that I've used for the cuff and for the heel is West Yorkshire Spinners yarn in their Milk Bottle colourway, something that I'm using a lot for my contrasting toes and heels and cuffs. And I'm not going to lie, I completely ripped off this from Susan B. Anderson. I saw her knitting these socks and I just wanted to completely recreate them. So that's what I've done by putting in the contrast cuff and heel, and it will have a toe as well that's contrasting. So yay! Susan B. Anderson is awesome. Why wouldn't I want to copy her? How incredible that she is. But there's something else very special about these socks, which is something that I did share on Instagram, so you may have already seen it, which is that one of the other reasons I wanted to cast on these socks is that I was gifted an amazing progress keeper, and it needed an amazing project. But look at this, you guys. Can you see? It's Belle from Beauty and the Beast. How amazing is that? Which brings me on to a really, really lovely parcel that got delivered to me this week by my absolute darling of a friend, which is Eric from Sticks Plus Twine podcast. And in case you haven't noticed, I adore Eric. I think he's wonderful. I love his podcast, and you should all go and watch him if you haven't watched him. But I love him, and he actually went to Florida recently, and I was so jealous. But he sent me a lovely message saying, I think that you should have some treats from Florida. And he sent me a parcel, which is just amazing. And let me share with you some of the bits and pieces that were in the parcel. So yeah, obviously I have my little progress keeper, which means so much to me. I love Beauty and the Beast, the movie. I love the original fairy tale. I have about 4 or 5 different novelizations of Beauty and the Beast. I'm a little bit obsessed with it. It's just a very special story to me, and when I was still performing, I performed in no less than 3 different productions of Beauty and the Beast professionally. Never the Disney version. I wasn't lucky enough to ever end up doing the Disney version, but different kind of versions of Beauty and the Beast I did 3 of them. So I might try and find a couple of production photos and insert them in here if I can locate those, which might be fun. I also have a Beauty and the Beast themed tattoo. Yeah, one of my tattoos is Beauty and the Beast themed. Again, not the Disney version, a slightly more kind of classic storybook look at Beauty and the Beast, but it's very true. So having this little progress keeper makes me so happy, just brings so much joy to my life, as it's a story that means so much to me. Eric was so generous. He sent me this beautiful little parcel. It had a card, which is actually up on our bookcase downstairs, so I don't have that with me. He also sent a little gift for Emrys, a little Star Wars themed model kit, which he was so thrilled with, and it was so thoughtful. So thank you, Eric. In case you haven't noticed, Eric, I'm going to say thank you to you so many times, but he sent me, I don't even know what order to show these in because they're all so amazing, but excuse the clattering because I have already attached this to my car keys. Look at this! A Harry Potter crest keyring, which has my name on the bottom, Katie. Thanks, Sue, Katie. And yeah, I've already attached it to my keys. He also sent me this little bag from the Bank of Gringotts, which is full with chocolate coins that are galleons. So galleons, chocolate galleons from the film. Fantastic. I also went on to Pottermore and was sorted into my house because of 50 points for Gryffindor. Yay, 50 points for Gryffindor! I wanted to be sorted into a house. I wasn't sorted into Gryffindor. I was sorted into a different house. Hufflepuff, 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 Hufflepuff. Look at this. It's a little notebook which Eric sent me. It actually was a pair, 2 notebooks together. And I have popped one of these into each of my main project bags that I use so that I can put all my knitting notes in them, and I love them. A lot of people were like, oh, you don't want to be a Hufflepuff. But I think Hufflepuffs are awesome. I love badgers. Badger is basically my spirit animal anyway. I love the badger. Maybe I should get a badger tattoo as well. Completely off topic. But Cedric Diggory was a Hufflepuff and he was awesome. And Tonks is a Hufflepuff, who's only like one of the coolest women ever written in Harry Potter. So I feel like I'm in pretty good company being a Hufflepuff. So thank you, Eric. I love it. And the last little thing that was in my parcel, again, is adorable and means a lot to me, which is, look how cute. So this is a tum tum. I think that's how you pronounce it. I never know how to pronounce it, but saying tum tum sounds so weird. I hope that's how you pronounce it, but it's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and how cute and fat is he, and his little tail. Oh, he's so cute. Look at his ears. But this is adorable because Rolly, our little pug puppy, when he's going a bit mental, he does a thing that we call mad dog, which is when he basically just runs around for no reason. And he looks just like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch when he goes a bit mental, other than the fact that he doesn't have all the multiple arms and the antenna and that type of thing. But he's like our little Stitch. So this is like my little Rolly Stitch. And it's adorable. I had so many problems keeping this away from Rolly when it arrived in the post, because to him this looks delicious, like a delicious morsel that he can chew on. But he is not allowed to chew on my Stitch Tsum Tsum because he is going to live in my sewing room on my little set of shelves that's above my sewing machine, so that I can look at him and love him and be reminded of Eric and how amazing he is. So he is so cute. I love him. Thank you, Eric. I can't thank you enough. It was so generous of you to send us that parcel, and I will be sending something back to you super soon. I've already collected a couple of bits and pieces together, but there's a couple more bits that I want to get, and I'm so excited for you to get it because I know that there are a couple of things in there that you are going to love. Okay, so Harry Potter. I've got a lot of Harry Potter things from Eric because I love Harry Potter. And have I mentioned that we're going to be doing a Harry Potter KAL? Earlier this week, I recorded a little video specifically for the Harry Potter KAL and to help you guys out in terms of getting started, in particular about pattern choices and things. Also, a lot of you may have noticed that a little someone hasn't been so present in the podcast recently, and that is Rolly. Now, Rolly hasn't been in the podcast because I've been podcasting upstairs and he is a downstairs dog. So he's not allowed up here. There's too many things up here that he could chew and eat, and he does tend to chew a lot of different things. So I thought, let's do a little video where, you know, the star is involved in the podcast, because I know that you guys really tune in for him, right? At least that's the kind of general feeling I've been getting from all of the messages who say, we want more Rolly, we want more Rolly. And I can't blame you, because I always want more Rolly too. He's adorable. But let me now hand over to past Katie, who is going to be telling you about a load of lovely Harry Potter patterns with the help of a little furry friend. So enjoy. Rolly, are you the star? Are you the star? Are you the star of the podcast? Oh, you're so naughty. And you guys wonder why he isn't on the podcast all the time. Rolly, say hello. Or just give me a bath. You know, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. So, I'm so excited about the Harry Potter KAL. So excited. On the Ravelry group, I've seen so many of you wanting to get involved with the KAL. Which is amazing. But I know that a lot of you have been a little bit hesitant to start because you're not sure what pattern to use. So I thought I would take a little bit of, excuse me, Rolly. I know you love me, I love you too, I love you too. You see guys, this is why I can't always podcast with Rolly, because much as I love him, constantly having him lick my face is not necessarily the most effective way of doing a podcast. Are you done? Are you done? So I thought I would take a little bit of the hard work out of the process of finding a pattern for the KAL, and I would find a couple of bits and pieces for you myself, which is exactly what I have done. Rolly, you're picking Mummy's face. Yeah. So I have created on my Ravelry page, come here baby, on my Ravelry page, some favourites. I've created a little bundle which is specifically a Harry Potter bundle. So do head over and take a look and see some of the patterns that I've picked. But let me take you through some of the patterns that I found, and they are amazing. I am so excited to maybe not be knitting these for the next couple of months, but even if I don't, I shall definitely be making some of them in the future. So yay! First up is something that I know has been incredibly popular with so many people, which is the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern by Erica Lueder. Lueder? I'm really sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Basically, Erica is Dreams in Fibre, and she has some incredible patterns, because you may not know she's actually done a whole series of Harry Potter inspired sock patterns, and they are all available for free on Ravelry. Yes, Rolly, they're available for free. Isn't that exciting? She's got a huge selection of different characters that have socks inspired by them. Dumbledore, Neville, Moody. There's several patterns inspired by the Weasleys in general. There's some inspired by Snape. So I would really recommend going onto her Ravelry patterns page and just having a little look, because yes, Hermione's everyday socks are beautiful and so many people love them, but just be aware she's got some other incredible patterns, and what's most amazing is that they are all free. So if you're up for trying something a little bit new, I would definitely take a look at some of her patterns and just see what you think. So like I said, there's been some amazing interactions going on the Ravelry group, and Sue from Two Tangled Skeins, hi Sue, commented that she will be probably knitting up Hermione's Time Turner mitts, which are beautiful kind of fingerless mittens. This pattern is actually a part of a collection of patterns. It's not available individually. It's called the Unofficial Harry Potter Knits kind of ebook, and you can purchase it for download on Ravelry, I believe, or at least there's a link when you go to that page on Ravelry. It is a little bit pricey. It's $14.99, and usually I wouldn't kind of suggest that you spend all of that money just to get one specific pattern, but looking through the book, there are at least kind of 4 or 5 patterns that I really like, and when you kind of go by an average of about maybe say $5 a pattern, if you're looking at 15, obviously if you find 3 patterns that you really like within that book, then I think it may be worthwhile splashing out. Some of the patterns in particular that I liked are the Hermione's Time Turner mitts that Sue suggested that she would like to make, but also they have a lovely pair of OWL mittens, colourwork mittens, which are gorgeous. I absolutely loved them. I'm a bit obsessed with colourwork anyway, but they were so cute. On the palms, they actually have text for lots of different spells, and they have a lovely owl pattern on the other side. Other things that I really liked are 2 sweaters. I, in case you haven't seen, made a cabled sweater not so long ago, and I love cables. I think they are just so addictive, and there are 2 different sweater patterns in this that involve cables. One of them is called the Severus pullover, obviously designed with Severus Snape in mind. It's beautiful, it's quite intricate, but it's a very uniform pattern, so it's a pattern repeat that goes over and over and over again. So even if you're new to cabling, working on that pattern shouldn't be too demanding, because once you've got the repeat down, you're literally just doing it again and again. The second pattern that I thought was incredible was the Sorcerer's sweater. If you are like me and you like cabling, this jumper is insane. The cable pattern is ridiculous. It goes all over the place. It's kind of, I kind of feel like it's reminiscent of the Chamber of Secrets, with all of the kind of the snakes and that type of thing, the patterns going on, but it's pretty ridiculous, and yeah, I love it. Another pattern that I found during my extensive searching was another bit of colour work. This is a hat, which actually goes really well with the OWL mittens that I mentioned previously. It's called the Owlery. It's a little colourwork hat, and again it features a little owl motif, which is so cute. For you crocheters out there, I also found some amazing little projects that you might want to work on for this KAL. Like I said, KAL doesn't necessarily have to mean knit along. We welcome crocheters, we welcome weavers. Weave something to do with Harry Potter, my goodness, that would be insane. But the one project that really caught my eye, the one pattern that I thought was amazing, was a crochet version of Fluffy the Three-Headed Dog. This pattern is $3.59 on Ravelry, and it's so cute. If I feel a little bit more confident with my crochet, I could definitely see a Fluffy the Three-Headed Dog in my future. The last pattern that I wanted to share with you guys was something that came up on my searching, and when I saw it, I literally gasped. It is insane. I have mentioned that I love colour work. I'm a huge Fair Isle fan. I also love recreating things from movies, as you know, from my Harry Potter sweater, my Weasley sweater, shall I say. And this pattern, I'm just going to show it to you right away and just let you gasp along with me. This is Neville's sweater. It was recreated by Joanne Newsom, and get it guys, this is a free pattern download on Ravelry. I repeat, free pattern download. This is not a drill. This sweater is a replica of one that Neville wears, and I believe it is from the Deathly Hallows. This sweater I just think is insane. Obviously, it's complicated, it's time intensive. It may take longer than the amount of time that you have on the KAL, but I just really hope that someone wants to make this sweater, because that would just be insane. And even if you don't have a finished object for the KAL, we will be giving prizes away for the chatter thread as well. So just being a part of the KAL means that you stand a chance about getting a prize, which is just ridiculous, you know? So yeah, that is all of the the patterns that I have found for you guys this week. Next week, which is the last week before the KAL starts, I will be sharing with you what I'm going to be working on for my projects for the Harry Potter KAL. But for now, Rolly and I will, well, I'll see you pretty much within the next second, because we're going to me in the future. It's like Shannon of Socksetra always does. Shannon from the future. I'm going to be cutting back to Katie of the future. But for now, Rolly is going to have to go and probably chew some stuff, eat some stuff, slobber on some stuff, and have a little sleep. So he will say bye. Say bye, baby. Bye-bye. So excited! Harry Potter! Yay! Oh, this is getting ridiculous. I feel like I've had too much caffeine, so I apologise for how ridiculous this podcast has become, but what can I say? I'm enjoying myself. So yes, Harry Potter KAL is coming. Like I said, next week I will actually be sharing with you the exact project that I'm going to be working on. I already have some really good ideas, a couple that are dead solid that I know that I'm going to be working on, but I just want to have a little bit more of a think about a couple of things before I share them. So that will happen next week, and then a couple of days after that is March 1st, and that will be cast on day. Yay! So yeah, in case you've noticed, I'm super excited about that. Why would you not be? It's Harry Potter, it's knitting, it's all the good things. But let's take a step away from Harry Potter and knitting a while, shall we? And let's talk about so what? Because guys, in case you haven't noticed, someone's wearing something that they said they would get finished, which is my Franken-dress. And let me just show you. It's a dress, it's a dress, it's a dress. It has ties, it has pockets, and look at the lining of the pockets. I wanted to get this finished for Unravel that I went to yesterday, and I kind of did, because I can wear it. I'm not gonna lie, guys. This dress, I can wear it, it's fine. It's not completely finished. I did cut a couple of corners so that I could wear this. I wanted to wear it to show you today. I wanted to wear it to Unravel because I promised myself that I would have a nice dress to wear to Unravel, which is why it's a little bit creased in points, because I did have to wear it for an hour and a half there and back in the car, so about 3 hours in total. Oof. I have not completed slip stitching in the lining inside. I also have not fully completed the hem. I'm doing a narrow hem on the skirt, which basically involves turning up the hem, stitching it about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, trimming down the entire seam so there's pretty much no seam left next to that stitch line, and you then turn it up again, press it and sew it. So it's like a double turn on the hem, but it creates this really fine, delicate hem. As yet, I've only done the first turn. So I've done the fold, I've stitched 1/8 of an inch away, and then I cut off all the excess, but there is still a little raw edge going on down there. It means that you can wear the skirt. I'm the only person who would know that this isn't done, but yeah, that's bad enough. Also, the lining, you can see here, is sewn in around the neckline, but yeah, along the zips and along the waist and along the insides of the seams, I kind of did a cheeky little finish with a couple of safety pins and just so that I could wear it. But it's basically there, and I will get it finished this next week, so I did want to share it with you. It's been a really lovely project to work on. It's been a while since I've adapted a sewing pattern this much and kind of squashed two different patterns together. I love how the skirt fits. I love the flare of it. We already knew that I loved the Madelaine skirt anyway, but I love how it goes with the bodice of this dress. In terms of the pockets that I inserted into the skirt, I think the next time that I do this, as I probably will be making this dress again, that I will lower the pockets slightly. The way that they're sitting at the moment is right on the squishy part of my hips, which kind of makes me look a lot hippier than I am, which doesn't really bother me too much, but I think it would be a touch more flattering to lower them slightly within the skirt. Whew. I appreciate this has already been a long episode, guys, but we are on the home stretch now. I am going to tell you all about my time at Unravel, and I'm going to share with you some sneaky little stash enhancements that I may have acquired while I was there. So this is Unravel. Look at these sheep in their little jumpers. Aren't they adorable? This is the first time that I have ever been. It was in Farnham at the Farnham Maltings, and it was over 3 days, so a Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and I went on Sunday with my lovely mum. This is the first time that I've gone to a festival and I've been really in the mindset of wanting to acquire yarn. This is something that's happened relatively recently. So I was in a really, really good place to kind of absorb how amazing this festival was. And guys, it was amazing. The Farnham Maltings is basically, I believe, kind of old farm buildings and that type of thing that have been converted into this massive complex that has all different areas, all different rooms. It's a bit of a labyrinth. And every time that you turned a corner, there was a new room that had like a whole new set of stalls, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really prepared for that, and it did throw me a little bit when we first got there. I was getting really, really anxious that we were gonna miss something, but once we got our bearings, we started to kind of realise where everything is and the different rooms. And also the thing that I hadn't noticed is that within this catalogue, each one of the rooms was kind of mentioned with the stalls that were in that area, all colour coordinated, and then the next room with the next set of stalls that were in there. So if I had just been looking at this properly from the very beginning, I probably wouldn't have got so confused and anxious when I was walking around. The amount of people who were exhibiting was really fabulous. There was a lovely diverse set of stalls, so there were people selling fibre, people selling yarn, people selling accessories for knitting. There were yarn balls, there were needles, there were spindles, there were everything. There were little handmade trinkets, there were buttons, there were beads. It was like a yarn lover's paradise, pretty much. There were so many yarn stalls that I did get a bit of yarn blindness at one point. I really just couldn't see what I liked and what I didn't like anymore because I was overwhelmed. And I was lucky, I think, because I had some specific things in mind when I went into the fair, which kept me focused. And that meant that I wasn't just buying things willy-nilly. I did have a purpose behind my purchases. I could have spent a small fortune. I could have spent my paycheck for the next 6 months in that place, but I didn't. But I did kind of make out like a bandit. Do you want to see what I got? I'm so excited to share them with you. So the first room that I walked into in the fair was literally the first place that I saw something that I wanted to buy. And that happens a lot. You know, you come in, you see something and you go, oh, this is amazing, I want to buy this right away. But when I'm at a fair of any kind, I will always do a full loop of the entire place before I make any purchases, which is something that I would really, really recommend doing. Taking a little notebook. I took Mr. Hufflepuff Badger with me, and I just jotted down what stalls had really caught my attention and for what reason. We did a loop, we sat down, we had some tea and cake, me and my mum, and then we went back and made our purchases. But anyway, the first seller that really caught my eye was one called Bilham. They had the most beautiful gradient yarns in all different bases, with cashmere, with silk. I could have spent a small fortune at their stand. But like I said, I had a project in mind when I went to the fair, and that was, I want to take part in Eric's Exploration Station KAL. I've never knit a Stephen West pattern, and I really fancied it. And also I'm totally in love with Eric, so if he does something, I kind of have to take part. It's like, there's no question, I just have to take part. So I was on the lookout for 4 different colours of yarn for the Exploration Station shawl. And when I was at the Bilham stand, I saw this. You guys, Check it out. Now this isn't showing up as beautiful on the camera as it is in real life. It's kind of being blown out. It's looking almost black, but it varies from this really deep, beautiful, almost royal blue all the way through to navy. And it's sparkly. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. This is 95% merino wool and then 5% lurex, which is what gives it this incredible sparkle. And I saw this colour and I just couldn't believe how beautiful it was, how rich and gorgeous this tonal blue was. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I took this yarn and I put it right in the bottom of all of the piles of yarn because I knew that out of everything that I had seen that day, this skein of yarn had to come home with me. So I put it right in the bottom and I thought, I'm not going to buy this now, but I'm going to make it as difficult as possible for anyone else to buy it while I was gone. But luckily it was there when I got back. I was a little worried that someone had bought it because I'd buried it so deeply that I couldn't find it at first, but it was there, it was right at the bottom, and now it's mine. Along with that colour, when I went back, I also saw this green. Oh, guys. Again, I got it on their sparkle base, so 95% merino and then 5% lurex, which gives it the sparkle. And I just thought these two together, oh my goodness. This green kind of made me think of a colourway that I've been in love with of Kristen's, of Vine. It's not as good as her colourway, I'm not gonna lie. Hers is her Venus flytrap colour, but that's what this reminded me of. And once I had made that connection, I couldn't leave it behind. So these two came home with me. And aren't they beautiful? I just love these kind of deep, rich colours. And yeah, so happy with them. And they're so squishy. I want to live on them because they're so squishy. So these were the first two colours I picked up. So at that point, I was a little bit worried because I had seen these two colours and knew that I wanted them. But there were so many other yarn stalls in Unravel that I thought, how am I going to find two other colours that go with these in this amount of space with all these people selling these incredible things? I was like, this is going to take hours. Luckily, I remembered a stall that had really caught my attention when I'd been walking around previously, which was one called Rosie's Moments. And the reason that this had caught my attention, this stall, is that when I had walked by, it had smelt amazing. And I know that that sounds very, very odd, but it had smelt amazing because every single one of her skeins of yarn has a little pouch of lavender attached to the label. So when you walked by, you just got this beautiful whiff of kind of warm woolen lavender, and it was beautiful. So I thought, I want to go back to the stall that smells good. And I had a chat with Rosie of Rosie's Moments, and she was amazing. She told me all about her business. She actually does custom dyeways on yarns, and she doesn't charge any extra to do that. She will just charge you for the yarn. She says it's always a good idea to be super specific as to what you want, but she dyes everything up in her house. On her labels it says she lives in an 18th century cottage and that all of her yarns are inspired by the nature that is around her, and I just think that's beautiful. And she was so nice about helping me find colours to go with these two yarns that I'd already purchased. She did something super clever, which was unravel these two skeins, put them on her arms, and then she would take her skeins off the wall and also unravel those and then twist them all together so that I could really see how the colours worked. And I've never even thought about doing that before, but it was so wonderful and it was so helpful, and it means that I am super happy with the yarns that I got from her, because in case you haven't guessed, I did purchase my other two colourways from her. Oh my goodness, guys. So Aren't these ridiculously amazing? This colourway I am obsessed with. This is called Lavender Fields, and it is 85% superwash merino and then 15% Donegal nep, which is what gives it this tweedy look. Oh, it smells amazing. Oh, the lavender. That's the little bag of lavender there. How cute is that? And when we wrapped this, when I saw this, I would have never picked this as a colourway that would go with my two previous colours. But when we wrapped this together with the green and the blue that I have, it just looked incredible. This blue was picking out the purples in here, and the little black neps were kind of coming out with that. And obviously the greens, they just love each other. They want to have babies. They love each other so much. And then on top of that, I have this one. The colourway is Mustard Seeds, and it is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And it's so squishy. I love it. I love it. This just kind of picked up all of the golden colours in here and just pulls them out. So the three of them together just look insane. I never would have paired these four together, I'm not going to lie. But look at how nice they look all in a row. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful yarns. I'm so happy with these. I can't wait to start on the exploration station, even though I have so many things on the needles now, it's not even funny, but I'm going to get this done. They're all kind of like autumnal colours as well, which makes me super, super happy. So these were my massive yarn purchases. I kind of broke the bank a little bit on those. I'm happy. I'm so happy with my yarn, so don't blame me. Don't blame me for spending all my money. A couple of other little bits that I picked up. My mum, who came with me, was kind enough to buy me a little treat when we were at Unravel. And I went past a stall called Easy Knits, who I actually follow on Instagram as well. So I had seen their yarn previously and I wasn't expecting them to be at Unravel. So that was a real treat. They do incredible colours of yarns. In particular, they do things called gobstoppers, which are like self-striping sock yarn in these insane colours. So fluorescence and bright colours and contrasting. So like black with hot pink and neon green, and I loved them. Those gobstoppers, I really wanted one in particular. It was called Toxic Frog, but I didn't have really enough money if I wanted to buy yarn for the exploration station and one of those. So I said no to those, but my mum was kind enough to buy me these. So this is a gradient set of, what are they called? Tiny tails, which are basically mini skeins. Each one of these skeins is 10 grams and they're dyed up on a gradient, as you can see, kind of from purple through to white. And aren't they fun? I like making them dance. It's like a little squid or something, and how cute that you can kind of hang it up. So these shall be going into my Cozy Memories blanket. Aren't they cute? So happy with those. Okay guys, we're nearly there. I have one more thing, one more acquisition to share with you. And it's something that took me by surprise. It's not something that I went to Unravel specifically to purchase. And I think I might as well just show you. I got a drop spindle. And not just any drop spindle. Check out this. Okay. Glitter and flowers and amazingness, and how could you not want one of these? It's just ridiculous. I love it. So the story behind this, I have never spun in my life. Before watching podcasts and getting into podcasts for knitting, I had no idea that using a drop spindle was a thing. I knew vaguely about people that would spin on spinning wheels, but drop spindles, didn't really have a clue. didn't realise that it was something that a lot of people did, and it didn't really have much interest to me. It wasn't something that I ever in a million years thought that I would be wanting to try out. And that's nothing bad against people that did do it. I just thought that looks really complicated. And to be honest, I don't have that much free time anyway. Particularly now I've started a podcast, which takes up a lot of my time. But I thought the last thing that I need is another hobby. Because I make things all the time. I make my own clothes, I knit, I crochet, I cross stitch, I sew things for the house. I didn't need another hobby, but I got this anyway. I've been inspired so much by so many of the women that I've met through podcasting who use a drop spindle, who spin. It's been in the back of my mind that this may be something that I'd want to try at some point. And then when I went to Unravel, I saw a stall by a lovely lady called Louise from Spin City, UK. And her stall, you guys, was like a sweet shop. She was the loveliest person, so friendly, and she was dressed kind of 1950s, which is obviously right up my alley. So I had to go and have a chat with her. She was there with her mum. They showed us how to use the drop spindle. I explained that I'd never used one before. She talked me through the whole process, and then don't even get me started on her fibre. She makes kind of fibre braids and also these things. I'm sorry if I'm not using the correct technical terms because, like I said, I know nothing about spinning. I'm a complete novice, and I can only just say they look like clouds, these big piles of fibre, and the colours that she used and the fibre content. She was telling me that there was banana leaf in there and bamboo and silk, and I wanted to collect them, all of these clouds, and just keep them at home and just stroke them because they were so beautiful. Before you even did anything with them, they were beautiful. She also, like I said, was selling braids, and the cloud kind of fibre was a little bit out of my price range. There was a lot more fibre in there, and I think that they take a lot more time to make because they're larger. But I obviously needed some fibre for this little guy, so I picked up a braid. Look at this! Okay, I don't know if you can see, but in the white of this is kind of a purple glitter fibre that runs through the white. And then obviously we have this teal, there's blue, and this magenta going into purple. And I am obsessed with this. Oh my goodness. I want to just wear it. Just wear it before I, do anything with it. I could wear it as a scarf. I could sleep on it. It's so soft. It's so squishy. It's beautiful. I couldn't leave it behind. And I knew that I didn't need another hobby, but it's gorgeous. So yeah, I'm going to try my hand at spinning, you guys. This should be interesting because it's been a really, really long time that I've started doing something that I know nothing about at all. As a knitter, as a sewist, I would say that I'm pretty advanced. I know what I'm doing. Spinning, don't have a monkeys. Literally don't know what I'm doing. Know that I love this. Know that I love this. Know that I want to use these. Know that I spent a lot of time watching tutorials last night, but as yet, obviously, as you can see from this naked drop spindle, I haven't started. So watch this space. I'm not going to make any promises that I'll be sharing everything right away because I don't want to look like a failure. But that's just silly. I'll share it with you even if I completely make a mess. But I'm going to start on a spinning journey. When I'm going to have time to do that in addition to everything else that I'm already doing, I really don't know, but I'm so excited about it. And yeah, like I said, watch this space. So guys, thank you so much for watching this super long episode of my podcast. Thank you if you have stuck through until the very end with me and seen all of my stash enhancements and everything. I've loved chatting to you as always. I tend to post every week at the moment. I'm trying to upload every Monday, so I will be back next Monday with more bits and pieces, more joy, more updates on the Harry Potter KAL. So please come back. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it, and if you aren't subscribed already and you've liked what you've seen, please subscribe, because then you get a little notification every time one of my videos is up. I hope you all have a wonderful week. You always make my week better, and happy knitting, happy sewing, and I will see you all next time. Bye!